Hey everybody, Joe and Ashley Kovacs here. We are here with you guys for podcast number 7. As you guys can see, we are in a different location. We're still out here in Hawaii. Training's been going really, really well. Joe's in a pretty heavy cycle with his lifting, and he's also getting into it with the throwing. Still have kind of a while to go until USA, so we're still kind of in a base phase, but we've really been enjoying our time out here, and the training camp's been going really well. So, Joe, how are you feeling about our time out here so far?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously can't complain. Like, this is my happy place. This is where I think all of us do our best mind thinking and training. So this was always a goal of mine to go out to a training camp, and we did it last year for the first time. I'm super excited we decided to do it again, and I hope we can kind of make a tradition of this. I know it's going to be tough once our kids get older and have to go to school, but they're living their best life out here too.
Yeah, they're absolutely living their best life. Like, every single day is, like, the best day they ever had. So, it's kinda nice that we're able to knock out a few things all at once, and it's been really fun. We wanna go ahead and talk about some of the topics we've been getting from questions we've had on our THROvacs account on Instagram. So, I think that one of the things that makes you unique and makes your situation unique, and the fact that you're going into your 13th season as a professional, pretty unique, is the fact that you've been so durable throughout the years. And I think a lot of the questions that we've had have kind of been about durability in a way. Like, the questions will be, how do you sustain a physical peak? How do you keep your body intact? How do you come back after a bad season or a bad meet or a bad year? What do you think about? And I think all those things, the root of the questions always come back to like longevity, durability, sustaining levels, right? And so I guess that's a pretty good place for us to start. So I would say, like, if I said that to you, like, what does durability in the sport mean to you? Or how do you think durability has brought you to the point that you're at now? Like, what would you say?
I think that's what has allowed me to kind of keep on coming back and keep on swinging. I think durability is something like it personal to me, is I've always have viewed this as a profession, and like you can't just go all in eggs in one basket for one season, 1 year, and expect to come back the next year, right? So like every time we are training, there's always this, mindset of like keeping the body healthy. There's more to come. You need a foundation to build upon. And I think, obviously in the weight room, in the throwing, and everything we kind of pick and choose to do, there's a rhyme or reason about making sure that not only is it getting us to be able to throw far when we want to, but it's also not going to mess us up. And there's a risk reward factor that we're always trying to keep accountable in our decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the things that comes to my mind when you say that is this idea of just like running full throttle for a season. And I watch people do that, or at least it seems that they're doing that. And what I kind of mean by that is they're almost like completely off the chain with their training in terms of like everything's fully unloaded,
Mm.
right? Meaning like you're running kind of velocity based training all year, throwing competition style or light balls all the time. And there's really nothing suppressing anything for a peak. And I think some people think about it like you never need to be suppressed. And in my opinion as a coach, like, I don't that's not what I believe in necessarily, like, we don't that's not how we do it. So, in terms of that thought process, like, what would you say about that? Is that what you're kinda saying when you're talking about not putting all your eggs in one basket for one season?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely what I'm saying, and I think there's obviously everybody has a different system and way they're thinking about things, but I know the way you and I think and the way I kind of thought my entire career. It's like I definitely know there's some things that you and I could do that would probably give me an advantage in the moment, in the
Right.
month, in the year, even.
Yes.
But you would really pay for it the next seasons. I mean, like,
So,
and
like,
maybe
dig
that.
into that a little bit, like, I know what you're saying, I want everybody to kinda understand. Like, when you're saying that, I know exactly what you're saying. Break that down for people because I think the majority of people, the majority of our listeners don't understand what that means to be suppressed, and, like, talk about how that quote, unquote, "suppression" of your central nervous system, of, like, full throttles, like, all systems go, allows you to become more durable for the season and also future seasons.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like I view it like that tempered glass kind of analogy, right? It's like the pressure on top of it, the pressure on top of yourself on the central nervous system, on all the hits we're taking, is also just making me fortified for the next time I need to do it. And like all these like analogies we have of like a Russian doll who's building strength upon top of itself every time we lift, every time we throw, that base layer is really important for me because in 2025, I'm thinking about 2026. In
Right.
2026, I'm thinking about 2028, not even 2027, right? And like obviously my career is getting towards the tail end of it. So you all are thinking of what will happen next. Like do you just decide one season where you heck,
Completely unload
we don't we
everything and
don't
just
we don't really have a season to worry about afterwards, or it is worth it. But also that's a risk because I've never done that, and I understand the maybe the concept of that, but obviously you got to go with what you know. And what I know is just like having a lot of strength in the back pocket, having a lot of my body where it is. That's what I trust the most, especially when things aren't going well.
yeah, I mean, and that kind of brings me to a point that I was thinking about when we talked about this topic is like, okay, so what we're basically saying for this durability is like we're continuing to load essentially all the time. Meaning like there are different points of the year. Obviously, we have different training cycles that we're doing where there's a hypertrophy phase, there's a power development phase, there's a strength development phase, there's a general preparation phase, right? And all of those different parts of the year are helping you build and make you equipped for the next thing we do, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that I think we focus on is even when we're in a competitive season, you're not kind of giving up the weight room. And I think that some people feel like, okay, you lift and then the season starts and then you kind of just, it's a maintenance phase.
Hmm.
And we don't really operate that way. Like it's never really a maintenance phase. So when we talk about like being completely unloaded or not suppressing yourself, doing that would be like not continuing to try to build all year until the very end, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and I'll tell you, I personally, and you know, there's been circumstances with a late season, this and that. I personally don't do well when I'm not unloaded.
right. Well, yes. And I mean that obviously that has like everyone's different, right? And I think that because like I think people that are super ballistic have a harder time being unloaded for a long time because it's like you get stale, your central nervous system is kind of like lost, it doesn't have stimulus, whatever the case may be. But like my point to that is basically I've had athletes that I've coached that have done really well and then they are in a different training program, like I'm not coaching them anymore, they're training somewhere else, whatever the case may be. And then the next year they do really well.
Well,
And
because
I
they're
think
doing less in the weight
because
room.
they're doing less,
Yeah,
right? And
sure.
so, I mean, and other reasons, sure. And I'm sure that, whatever. There are different reasons for different things, but it's very common to see if you're in a training system where you're doing a lot and then you do less, like it's gonna be better. That doesn't mean it's consistently
I
gonna
would
be better.
anticipate a spike.
Exactly. Because I mean, like, and that's especially for people that you had anticipated would continue down that path, right? Like, meaning people that were, like, gonna continue their careers, like sophomores, juniors, people that still had time in the system, like, they're definitely gonna have a spark or a spike when they're doing a lot, and then you take them off, and then it's gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm PRing on all my lifts." Yeah, you're gonna PR on your lifts because you're doing less volume, you're
Yeah,
doing
sure.
less tonnage, you're doing less repetitions.
Well, and I'm glad you say that too, because I think that's an important thing for people listening, especially at all levels. But I'll definitely think that high school, college level, I think is really a sweet spot. Is there's a way that you can measure the weight room, and all of us know about a max lift or the number that you're doing. But probably the most important, I think, thing is actually your entire workload
So workload
capacity.
capacity and
Yeah.
tonnage. I, like, literally have that in the notes here is, like, the next part of
And
durability.
it's so much harder to quantify that
Well,
because everybody
it's
because
but it's
nobody
not harder to quantify, like, you can very like, here's the way that
no,
here's a
but I
very
mean,
easy way to think of it.
nobody comes up to you, everyone says, what's your best bench? What's your best
That's
squat?"
fine and all, but,
Right?
like, if literally I mean,
But
sure,
nobody says, "What can you do for 10
but
sets
that's not
of 10?" Right?
but that's not yeah, like, a person on the street,
Yeah.
but, like, when I'm coaching a kid in high school okay, so a kid wants to do one-on-one coaching, THROvacs. What do you think one of the first questions I ask the kid?
Well, you probably general weight room stuff.
What can you do for 5?
What can you do for 5? Yeah,
What can you
sure.
do for 5 on a bench?
Yep,
What can you do for 5 on a squat?
yep.
Okay, because to me, that tells me a lot more about what they're capable of doing. And here's another, like, great story, I think, about that example. I trained with a girl at Kentucky, okay? She came in, looked really strong, was really strong, had 0 workload capacity, had essentially never trained before, and, like, I'm dealing with this a lot with the high school athletes I see. So, she was strong, but she had no fill, meaning, like, her 1 rep, like, what she should be able to do for 5 with that max, she couldn't do because she wasn't trained to do it, essentially.
Mhm.
Like, okay, an example, and I'm gonna try to see if I can, like, make this make sense. Someone that has a 225 bench max, okay? You should be able to handle 185 pretty easily for 5,
Yeah.
right? But if you can't, I'm just throwing these off. I'm not thinking the percentage. I'm throwing this off. I'm saying if I have a kid, a guy or a girl that can bench 225, you should be able to do 185 for 5. And I
Agreed.
know, like, I'm not, like, thinking about Perlepin's chart or percentages. I'm just like, that's off my head of just like, okay, I think you should be able to do that. Now, I'm not talking about doing that one time for 5. I'm talking like a build up to 185, like workout at 5 by whatever to finish at 185.
Yeah.
At least, okay? So, for somebody like this, like, she couldn't necessarily do that. So, we're stronger than her because we have more capacity. So, what we're lifting and she starts lifting more than us, and one of the girls says to me, "We gotta get going, dude, like, she's gonna catch us." And I was like, she's already so much stronger than
Mm.
us. You guys just don't understand. She just doesn't know it yet. Like, she doesn't have any base. And then, like, 6 months later, we're not even anywhere near her in the weight room, and she ends up being somebody that was, like, Olympic development weightlifter. Like, she made some teams for weightlifting
Yeah.
after we were done with college. Like, she was that strong. So it's like, that matters to us so much, right? Like, that tonnage, that workload, the capacity to supplement or to support the 1 rep max means more to me than the 1 rep max. Personally, and for durability, especially, like, these inflated 1 rep maxes where you can't even do a workout necessarily that says you can do that weight, like, those are kind of pointless to me.
Well, I think that's interesting too, because like, that's why I honestly haven't posted that much of my own training, right? Because like, well, we never really are doing that when sometimes you do it for fun
Okay,
or for targeting, but like we are chasing more of that, like
you're never
that meaty base.
exactly, but you're never doing, like, if somebody says, "Oh, yeah, what's Joe's, bench max?" I mean, do we really, really know? Like,
Yeah,
here's the thing, your best single, there's probably times you could have done more than that we just
sure,
didn't.
sure.
Okay, have we ever
Well, and also
maxed out a single on the squat?
no, but
It's
also
you can't do it.
the time of the year that I would be in shape to start doing
That's my
that
point.
is we're
It's
right
too
now as
dangerous.
well, we're transitioning to being a shot putter, a thrower. So
Well,
it's like
and, like, when I say it's too dangerous, like, what I mean by that is, like, it gets to a point where you're so strong that what you have to do to find out what your 1 rep max is, not to say you couldn't you could handle it, right? It would take a toll on you, but it's also just like, who's spotting? Where are we lifting? This, that, and the third. Like, it takes a lot, and it's the risk reward. I'd rather do a triple.
yeah, 100%.
Like,
And
I'm not doing that.
I also think I get more benefit out of the triple too, because the way I like to throw some tension lines here and there, it's like those 1 rep, you get mad if I call them these like party tricks, but there's a point where it's just like I can do some crazy things in the weight room, but like I don't know if that's really adding to the base and
Okay,
the
so
meat.
let's give an example of a quote unquote a party trick. So Olympics, 2 board, 770 for 2. You personally call that a party trick.
Yeah, that was
It's
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
it's not you say it's not real because why? Because there's momentum, because it's not off your chest,
Well,
because what?
I don't care if it's not a real bench compared to a power lifter,
It's
and
not a party trick
like
like you had
because
770 on your
I mean that's
hands.
the difference too. Like a power lifter who watches me bench right now, especially this time of season. Now, there's definitely a time of the year when I start the year when I'm doing more pauses and I keep my butt on the ground. I'm trying to build the base that I would be closer to what a power lifter does. But right now, like I am
So
actively
why do
trying
you
to.
call that a
in-
party trick? That's what I'm asking you. Why is
Well,
that a party trick? Because it's not, I mean, you did do that. Like,
I call it a party trick because it's something cool and exciting, but that's not really what has anything to do with what's going to allow me to throw far that week, right?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, it's all relative, right? So that's like the best 2 board you've done. So relatively, like, it's something that we use
I
as
think
a measure.
I've actually been heavier once or twice before
Okay,
too,
well, I
but
hope I wasn't there when you did, but
yeah, I've been over 8, so I got video.
I mean, I believe you, but I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, it's not like we don't care about it. It's just, it's not like we're not, I guess a party trick is like, we're not saying that you can bench 770 off
Well,
your
I guess
chest.
this is while somebody's listening to this, like, I'll tell you me personally, like, what's more, like, impressive for me, when I hear somebody else do it, but as far as myself, is, like, if I tell Ashley, I want what I did for 5 sets of 5 all over
Right.
a certain amount, like, or, like, when I'm doing, like, a big, I guess, squat workout, even, like, the big squat workout that went viral, that one I did, what was it? 880 or 870 for 4. Like, I actually think more impressive than that is every
The
set before it.
yeah, the tonnage,
I had 3 sets over 800 pounds before I did that
and they were more
for
reps.
more reps. So I think, yeah, what can you do for 4 in the squat? Sure, that's impressive, but, like,
The buildup.
having 3 more sets before it over 8 for multiple sets that are even more reps, like, that to me is just like, oh, you're not just, like, party trick strong. I know I should call it something else, but, like, you're actually like,
Well, like,
tomorrow.
that's that hollow strength that I was just talking about. It's like you can back it up
Yeah.
with the reps, and I think that that's the thing about it that is okay, like, for example.
Well, I mean, this is good to say too, because like we're friends with Ray Williams, and there's Jesus, who's also a former shot putter. 2 guys who are clean and they squat over 1,000 pounds. I love watching their Instagram because when they're lifting, because it's most people want to see them squat 1,000 pounds. I love when they have like 780 on the bar and they're just like putting the work and getting reps in. I love when
Right.
they have 800 pounds on the bar. It's just like I know how much strain that's putting into themselves, and like that's really what impresses me is
Well
what they're able to actually do work at, not just like, I got hyped, slapped myself in the face, and I was able to get this cool amount,
well, I mean,
right?
that's kinda the thing, like, when we had, like, a long conversation with Tom Berry over at Westside Barbell, and he the way that they do it is a lot lower reps, right? And they get all of their volume from their auxiliary lifts,
Yeah.
and we kind of do the opposite, and I said to Tom, I was like, "Listen, I'm not saying that Joe couldn't do more for one if we did it the way you guys do it. I just don't think it's applicable for what we do." And the reason I'm saying that too, and to bring up the workload capacity, the tonnage part of it, for me, because you're not doing a lot of aerobic stuff, this is a way that we condition the body and the different energy systems to get fitness. So it's like people will be like, "Well, your throw takes like 1 second. Why do you care about doing a five?" It's like if Joe Kovacs, does a five, a six, a seven, an eight, or beyond, your heart rate is like 170. Okay? There's nothing else that you really do where your heart rate gets up like that. And for me, it's like killing two birds with one stone, right? I
Well,
understand it's a
yeah.
different energy system, but it is physically preparing you for fitness.
Well, I think that's a good point to say is just like, we choose to train the other side of the energy systems in movements in which I have relatively good posture in, relatively good awareness in. And like, example, you put me on a treadmill and you want to get me to do get some cardio work done just to get my heart rate up. Well, we can put me in a squat with high reps and get my heart rate at the same level as like a hit
Exactly.
training, but also that's also kind of helping me posture and all this kind of stuff
Exactly.
for the future once it gets heavy. So
Exactly.
that's kind of how we pick and choose the battles is like, I'm not lifting all the time because, yeah, like you said, the shot puts a ballistic movement. We're doing it. I'm getting my conditioning using power lift
I just
movements.
think the thing that like I think is stupid. Like I'm just gonna say that. It blows my mind, okay, when people say stuff like this. Why do you need to do hypertrophy? Why do you need to do strength-based stuff when your sport is so fast? Like everything should be just velocity based. And I'm just like, it goes back to the tip of the triangle thing. Like you're only working the tip of the triangle. You never work the base. You don't have a base. You don't have the pyramid. And it's like you're burning out that energy system and it is going to still, you cannot do velocity based training all the time. Like everyone knows that, right? And
Yeah.
here's another example of that too. The thing that has really impressed me lately, since we've done the Watch the Arnold and we were hanging out with some of the weightlifters, watching those guys go back into base training,
Yeah.
okay, what am I seeing them do? Volume, almost to failure
Yep.
on front squats, on jerks,
Mhm.
right? And like that is a 100% a ballistic event. So when I sit back and I watch that, I'm just like, I guess we're not so different after all,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Like that and these are weight lifters, right? These are power lifters. They're Olympic lifters.
Sure. But they need to build the same way that I build my base, they need to build the base, they need to build the endurance somehow, and I think it's just so short-sighted when somebody thinks like, they look at the result. It's the same way you watch somebody on YouTube going full speed and you try to be that guy. It drives me nuts. You watch somebody going full speed in the ring and you think, "Oh, I'm gonna tr they're going fast, so I'm gonna only trade speed," and it's just like, you're just dulling the knife
You're
because you're
dulling the
only
knife.
you're only trying to sharpen one side of it,
Exactly. I
and,
mean, and the dulling the knife thing, I think, is actually like you think you're sharpening it.
mm,
You know what I'm saying? And that's you think you're sharpening it because you're working at the top all the time, and really, like, you're just dulling that stimulus, and it really doesn't mean anything. Like, listen, I know the conjugate system, like Louis' system, 1,000,000% works. it's backed by proven results, it's backed by science, and it's 100% it works, right? But it's almost like the way that we're doing it, like, to me, it's still a conjugate type system where it's like you're contrasting things. Like, you're doing volume, but then you're also doing speed. You're doing a maximum day, and, like, that's the thing, like, they're basically saying you're only doing maximum effort when you're doing a single.
Mhm.
But for me, it's like
Or a max
it
3 they do, yeah.
a max 3, but, like, for me, it's like every time you do a 5, it's trying to be a 5 rep max, right?
Sure.
Now, if you do a 5 on the bench, like a regular bench, you can do a 5 on an incline bench, you can do a 5 on a 1 board, a 2 board, a 3 board, a 4 board, pins. It doesn't matter. There's a million different ways you can get 5 on the bench. And that was like one of Louis' big things too, was like, did you break a record? And that like really always stuck with me. Like he's like, every day you come in the gym and you're doing 20 different things, one thing should be better than it's ever been. Whether that's like how many like curl to press did you get? Like it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, sure, and I think that's the one thing. I mean, obviously, we have the fortune to I had the lift at West Side Bar when I came to you, and I moved to you in Columbus, and obviously, we're friends with those guys a lot. I think the hardest thing is what we do in the ring is such a big, really, lifting is our auxiliary,
Right.
right?
Right.
And it's a tough thing because when I'm in the ring, especially when I'm firing full triple extension, full awareness, I mean, I am doing a max effort every time I throw, right? And that's a hard thing to quantify because it's easier to quantify that in the weight room than it is on a complex movement outside, especially when, if your body is down, you can't just say like, "Oh, well, the ball landed your PR, it's a PR throw." You might have a max effort attempt and it's not even close to it because you have a heavy
Well, I
ball
mean,
or,
it's even something as simple as, like, comparing apples to apples, like what we're talking about exactly right now. It's like, okay, are you making PRs with what the balls we're throwing right now? No, but is it a PR for this time of year doing this type of lifting? Yeah, and that has to count for something because it's relative.
sure.
And I think that's one of the things that young throwers don't understand. And, like, I felt really good with some of the groups I had when I was in college because, like, I had a girl, a hammer thrower, like Kate, and it would be like, "Coach, that's my best 3K on a Monday." Meaning, that's the best 3K I've ever thrown the day after a
The
lift.
day after,
Okay, and
sure.
so then what you can do with a 3K on a Monday versus what you can do with a 3K on a Thursday are gonna be different. So it's like, don't compare what
Well,
you
especially
did.
because the way you're talking about is you freshen up throughout the week. So
Exactly. So
that's why there'd be a,
but
a big
that's
difference
that's
of,
what we're saying when it comes to the relativity of it all, right? And
yeah.
so I think that, like, to bring this back to, like, a durability perspective, like, this is so important to us, and the thing that also kinda blows my mind, I think that you would think that people stay healthier, like, not getting little knick-knack injuries by not doing what we're doing, and what I'm seeing with my eyes when I'm training people that aren't doing my lifting or I'm, like, just coaching them technically, right? And then they're doing their own thing with their weightlifting, it blows my mind. First of all, they can't handle the workouts and the throwing. Second of all, they're hurt all the time. They have tweaks here and there all the time. And for me, it's because you're always just trying to fire, 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 fire. Like, if I did that with you, we would not be here doing a training camp. I'll tell you that right now, because your career would have ended a while ago.
100%, yeah. Yeah, 100%.
I mean, and like, and the thing about it is, you come from like even before you came to Columbus, and you're working with Coach Venegas, his training, old school. It's old school stuff. It's 1980s linear stuff, right? Like, and I think some people think the thing that irritates me, I think that some people think that that traditional linear periodization is like archaic, and for me, it's like it's not. Number one, number two, the season is linear,
Right.
meaning the championships and the big meets are always at the end for everyone. This is not basketball. So everybody wants to do this undulating velocity-based stuff because it's trendy. Okay? And so it's like, but the season doesn't undulate, right? The season goes from basically from meets of least importance to most importance. So it's like, why would the lifting not kind of follow that same trajectory?
Yeah, well, and I agree too, and I think the problem, I mean, listen, we have a Tendo unit, we use the rep 1 thing, like, we're not against using the velocity thing, I think it's a
Well,
great
it's not like we don't care about
no,
speed.
it's a great measure, but I think, in my experience, athletes I've seen who really sell out to that method, they kinda use it more as an excuse to back off sooner rather than push through, and I think that's one thing I think that when you talk about durability and the grind, I think there's a lot of, like, long-term yield that comes from putting
100%.
yourself like, time under tension, right? That's a
100%.
science term of this, but, like, there is something that, in inside of me physically, when I have that time and attention, I think it's mentally healthy. I think it's
100%.
physically healthy. I think it is,
It's physical
there's
resilience. Like, it is
yeah,
actually the definition of physical resilience. So, like, one of the things I thought about when we were talking thinking about this topic, like, what is anybody actually really trying to do in their training, right? And I've heard some other podcasters, like, talk about this before, like, I'm even talking like a Huberman and whatever, in terms of, like, what are you really trying to do? You're trying to be hard to kill. Right? And so, like, what does that mean? Like, it kind of is literal, right?
yeah,
Like, you're trying to train yourself to be able to withstand a lot of different things that are hard on your body. So, like, you wanna talk about something like heart rate variability, okay? Basically, one of the key factors for heart rate variability is, like, how much you can withstand with your fitness and still have your heart rate staying level, right? Or being able to come back to an equilibrium. Like, so the more you do, and, like, obviously, there are a million factors for HVR, right? And everybody's HVR is kinda different, but, like, the more fit you become, the more you stress yourself and recover and stress yourself and recover, the better your HVR is.
yeah,
It like, the people that lay around all the time and don't do anything, your HVR is stale.
right,
So it's like it's this constant, like, stress the body gets stronger, you become more resilient to certain stresses. So it's like this, here we are out here, and I'm climbing a literal mountain that's 1,000 feet gain elevation. The first day I do it, okay, that was pretty tough. It's still easier for me than it would be for, like, you, no offense to you, but, like, clearly, okay? But then you start doing it for 4 days and, oh, man, like, I'm not burning as many calories up the mountain anymore because I'm getting more fit to do it. I'm doing it faster. It's not as hard for me. Like, I'm not out of breath as much. It's like I'm adapting to that,
right,
right? That is what it is literally all about. I'm not just talking weight room. The throwing too, like, when I have these people, it's like, you cannot handle taking, like, 40 throws in a session. Like, you have to. So how do you get more capable and more able to handle 40 throws in a session? You keep taking the throws in the session until it becomes easier. You don't do less to get better at doing more.
right.
And I think that people are like, "Oh, you're doing too much," and it's like, you have got to understand human adaptation. And there is a point where you are gonna feel like you're overtraining, because kind of you are. You have to
We do
overtrain to adapt.
on purpose.
Planned overtraining. Like,
Yeah.
that is actually something that is in, like, books.
Mhm. And we pay for it. I get a little loopy and I'm tired, and we know it's going to happen. That's always part of the lifting. But I think that planned overtraining is, for me, it comes down to like, I like to be simple. There's like the coach who, you know, wants to overdo things and be perfectly efficient. I think if you try to be perfectly efficient, you're leaving something on the table every time. I'd rather, be taking everything and a little bit more. And then, when that more happens and you get a little bit tired, you get a little bit down, you're like, okay, that's now we know. We know. And then by the time you come back the next year, you can handle it. Right.
Right,
And I
exactly.
think that's the biggest thing that I've learned in my career. And even I remember when Louis told me this was like, if you got beat up by a fifth grade girl or a UFC fighter, your body doesn't know. Right? Because your body, all it knows is it got beat up.
Right,
It's got its butt kicked. So I need to, like, your body says, I need to make a change and I need to heal myself. So the next time that this battle happens, I'm ready for it.
right.
And I really love that analogy because that's the way I view
Well,
my
it's
own
like you
training.
but the thing about it, like you just said, when Louis like, you get beat up by a girl, you get beat up by a UFC fighter, it's like, it doesn't matter, it's the same thing. Your body's beat up from throwing, your body's beat up from lifting, your body's beat up from doing auxiliaries, or your body's beat up for doing a deadlift, like, your body just knows it's beat up.
Well, I think one of the ways I view things, and like I think we should say this because it's similar topic, is like I say the word hits a lot. Like, we're going to take a hit in the weight room today. Right. And then what I mean by that is like, it's gonna be a fight, right? It's gonna
It's
be
a
that
reach.
whether it's the 5th grade girl beating me up or, John Jones in UFC beating him up, like, I'm gonna get my butt kicked so bad that my body is gonna have to send its hormones and its
Exactly,
repair mechanisms, and it's
exactly.
gonna say, "We need to repair
Like,
and make
I'm
ourselves
tired, I
stronger."
need like, it's, like, literally something as simple as people that have and, like, this is one of the reasons I absolutely love the metrics, right? Of, like, I mean, literally, like, I have an Oura Ring, a Whoop, and an Apple Watch all telling me different things, and it's like, I love it because it's like, it's finally a way, and is it perfect? No. It's finally a way to kinda quantify, "Oh, my recovery's down today. Oh, I'm in the yellow today. Oh, I'm in the red today." It's like, anybody that understands that or has a device, like, wow, like, "Oh, I didn't sleep. Oh, I worked out really hard, or I did a 2 a day, or I didn't hydrate, or I didn't this and that." and your recovery's down, like, that's exactly what he's talking about when we say taking a hit. Like, you're doing something where you know good and well your recovery is gonna not be good between 24 to 72 hours later,
Yeah.
right? And, like, your body is telling you that something happened, I need a second. Like, I don't care what it was, but I'm not ready to do something else for you yet, okay? But the thing about it is, if you never go into the red, your green is not gonna be as strong, right? Like, the more you learn how to go down to come back up, to go down to come back up, that is resilience, that is actual durability, right?
Mm.
And, like, I can even give it an example with the metrics too of, like, heart rate variability, okay? When I was pregnant with our twins, my heart rate variability, like, to the point where am I alive? It was, like, 13.
Yeah.
Like, right before I gave birth, I'm not kidding. I was like, "This is actually scary." Like, why? Because your heart rate gets really low, your resting heart rate gets really low, like, your body doesn't want to do anything. It's just, like, everything I have, I'm using to just, like, take care of the body's growing inside my body, okay? Insane. The second they come out, I'm getting back to, like, normal levels, like 40s, whatever. For me, like, around 50 is, like, decent. I know you're way above that, like, so it's obviously different, like, men and women are different, you're different for your ages, whatever. I'm out here, I'm doing a lot of fitness stuff, my VO2 max goes up, I'm doing more movement, my steps go up, so my VO2 max goes up, and my heart rate variability is, like, through the roof. Like, I'm talking, like, 100, which is way higher.
For your baseline,
But
that's
why
really high.
though? Because it's like I'm doing stuff, and now I'm more capable of doing more, and that is training. It's like piling on top, like you said, the Russian doll thing. So it's like the people that are never going in, taking hits, as you say, right? You're not really doing anything to build a stronger pyramid, right? Like, I think that that has, like, every single thing to do with what you're saying, and it's like you said, it's this whole thing of, like, you know what's a lot more fun than loading the bar up and doing 5 by 5 on a squat? Full depth. Just about anything is more fun than that. Certainly velocity-based training where you can, ooh, do something fast and go look at the number. I'd much rather be doing that than doing 5 by 5 on a squat.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do that stuff. But to me, that is what it takes to be durable. Training. I'm not saying you have to lift heavy all the time. I'm not saying you have to do reps all the time. Doing things you don't want to do most of the time, like the way that I used to tell the kids in the beginning of the year, okay, guys, we're starting tomorrow with our general prep. You guys are not feel good at all until conference. You're not going to feel good. Like, you're not going to feel good, but you're going to feel really good when it matters. And they did. And, like, I'll stand by that. I will fully stand by that.
Well, I think it's important too because that's, I mean, I'm dealing with some international athletes and coaching them. It's just like culture wise, like some people just want to feel good all the time.
Yeah.
And like it's hard for me because I'm just like, well, I haven't felt good. I don't even know when, right? But
Wait, hold on. It's like, wait,
yeah.
2010?
COVID year was pretty enjoyable.
Yeah,
I mean, I know you're not
right?
supposed to say that, but I mean, there was like, I mean, honestly, it's just such a different thing because it's like I expect to be in the trenches, right?
But it's like, I just think it's funny because people were like, it's not healthy. It's like, look at this, though. You haven't gotten hurt.
Yeah.
Like, have there been weird things happen? Have you dropped a plate on your foot? Was that problematic? Yes. Have you pulled your groin a few times? Yes. But you pulled your groin more when you weren't as strong as you are now. Like, as far as little knick-knack, like, okay, you tore your tricep last year in Europe.
Well, that was only because
Okay, that was a freak
that was
thing.
only because I flew back home with you and then flew back with the kids by myself. That was a little bit crazy what I did. So I think I didn't completely tear as much as just tweaked it from not hydrating. And
I mean, it had a tear in it.
I was in the air for a long time, super dehydrated, and I probably didn't do the best job of that. So I mean, like to me, it's just like that was my own
But, like,
mismanagement.
in terms of, like, people think, like, I feel like you post a video and everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, like, be careful, you're gonna hurt yourself." It's like, do you
That's
see
why I don't really post anything because it's just like honestly, I mean, I guess now we're putting stuff out there. I see it. It's just like, but to me, it's just like, what, why is it even worth it? I mean, like your results in the ring, like somebody's gonna give me an appearance fee or give me a check if I do well in the ring. That's more important than just some internet hype, right? But honestly, like we probably have a lot
I
more
mean,
cool videos we've never
we have a
posted.
lot of cool videos that nobody will probably ever see, but at the same time, my point is, okay, people don't realize you do what you do a lot in terms of these fives that are, like, impressive, like, that's you train like that. So it's like, people are like, "Oh, don't get hurt." It's like, if you only knew, like, what he's able to do,
There's
but
not a week that goes by that I don't have 600 pounds on my hands benching at this time of year,
I mean, like
right?
we talked about yesterday.
There's not when I'm squatting, there's not a week that goes by that in even in volume that it's not 750, right? Even in the volume part, right? So it's
Well, I
just
mean,
like
and that's the thing, like
that's what I think is the most important thing is just like 500-pound bench used to be a big deal for me, right? When I had that and I used to have to like think these crazy things. I'm gonna go bench it. It's like now what used to be the peak is now the commonplace.
right.
And I think no matter what, people want to argue, don't be strong, don't be this. It's just like you can't really argue with like raising your minimums.
Well, it's just so funny to me because, like, I'll hear people be like, "How strong is strong enough?" And like, "Well, he's that strong, he better throw that far." And it's like, dude, okay, well, if that means like anybody that's over 6'5", us being like, "Well, you better throw far." It's like it doesn't matter. Like there are a ton of people walking this earth that are 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", 7 feet tall. They can't do anything that half of the guys that we have that are top 10 in the world can do that are that same height. There are a million, okay, there aren't a million guys that are strong as you, but any of the guys that are even close to relatively as strong as you in the world can't do what you do in the ring. They just can't.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think that people try to minimize everything everybody does. Meaning like somebody, oh, Crowder, he's so tall and big and strong, like he better be throwing that far. It's like, but you can't, no one else can do that. So it's like, don't minimize it. Oh, Joe, you're so strong. You better be throwing 23 meters. It's like, but no one else is doing that.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like everybody's always trying to find a kink in somebody's armor.
I think a lot of people have their own internal excuses because they're not tough enough to find a way to do it. So they just want to have a way that they can put on to somebody else that the reason that that person's throwing far
Yeah.
is because they're strong or they're tall.
Right.
So that's why I can't do it
Right.
because you're soft. So I
Exactly.
mean, there's just
I
a
mean,
lot of soft people out
there are
there.
plenty of people that are, I mean, like Ryan's really tall, but there are taller guys than Ryan. There are guys that are as tall as Ryan that don't even do anything remotely close to what he does.
Sure.
Right? And there are some guys out there, they're not as strong as you, they're not as complete as you. My opinion, there are some guys that are pretty damn strong.
Sure.
Okay? I can think of a couple that I'm like, when I've seen some of the stuff they've done, and I'm also just like, if you trained the way that we trained, you probably would be close to strong as you, maybe. Okay? Like I'm thinking there are some strong guys.
Like a Romani's a strong.
It's exactly who I'm
Yeah, I
thinking
mean, like
about.
he's yeah.
I mean, that's strong, strong. Like I've seen some strong things,
Mm.
but it's like there's differences, the speed, the mobility, and then also like the other thing that I want to touch on about durability. It's like technical durability. Okay. And like I get a lot of questions, everybody's like all into the step back and all these, like adding the length in the back of the ring. Like, oh, what do you think about it? I mean, great, right? Like, I don't think anything about it other than like I see the reason why you would do something like that. More length, more time, more speed, more force. Cool. Could make the ball potentially go farther. But at the same time, in my opinion, okay, the more you add to a technique, the more things that can go wrong. Like, for example, if I'm training a high school kid that is pretty basic, just learning, okay, what can I count on from this kid? Not much. So what am I going to do? Something real simple. Non-reverse glide. Okay, to start it off. The more I give them, the more ways they can mess it up.
Sure.
Okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? So what I'm saying for your technique, for example, your technique, a lot of people would say is extremely textbook, right? Meaning like,
Boring.
okay, I didn't say boring.
Yeah, it's boring.
I don't think it's boring. You think Doha was boring?
Yeah, I mean, I
No, you
got
didn't.
no,
You don't even mean that.
no, I think
You don't think Doha was boring.
no,
Like that was
I think
you need to apologize to the throw gods for saying that.
no, I mean, I think it's just like I mean, we've had some fun trying to experiment with some complexity in different starts. It's always fun to do that, but it's just like, what can you replicate? What can you do? What can you do time in and time
I
out?
mean,
And
okay,
like,
it's like boring, like or like tried and true, trusty. It's like a Ford F-150. Like it is what it is.
right, okay, but you could say that's boring too. I mean, like,
But you could also say
I'm
it's
I'm o
durable and
I'm
it's
okay.
like classic or
I'm okay.
traditional.
Like the difference is like I'm okay that nobody will ever try to copy what I do.
Everybody tries to
No,
copy
because
what you do. Joe,
it's not a fun Instagram thing.
Joe,
It's nothing
this
special.
is just like no offense, but this is just like this is one of those moments where I'm just like, okay, whoa, like the same way you don't get this, but I do because of like how I'm not you, and I'm also like managing like THROvacs and this and that. Everyone is trying to do what you do. And it's like the same thing we've talked
Like,
about a million times. It's like you idolize, Adam Nelson or Christian Cantwell or Reese Hoffa, and like that's you to other people, right? And I get it. Like there are some people that like want to be Fabry, they want to be Krauser, they want to be whoever else, but there are a lot of people that want to be Joe Kovacs, especially guys that are not very tall or like to be strong or like a lot of people. And I think that your technical model, I mean, even Vestine said, I use you as a technical model. Vestine, one of the best rotational coaches in the world of all time, has said that to you. I've seen him stop you in the Olympic Village and tell you that. So it's like you can't if you think that that's a distorted thought. I'm just telling you that out of respect.
probably distorted, but, like,
Well, it is
I mean, that's
distorted.
how I feel, but, I mean, regardless is just
It's not boring. It is tried and true. It's textbook. It's textbook. Your technique is a textbook. Okay, let me put it this way. Every single man on this planet in the top 10 in the world, top 25 in the world, has watched you throw in slow motion and looked at what you're doing. Every single one of them. And you guys can DM me and tell me that you haven't looked at it if you want to, and I'll know that you're lying. Literally. Every single one of
I
them
mean,
has watched you,
I
and every
I'm not
single one
I'm
of them
not
has tried to
I'm not
copy
really sa
something that
I'm
you
not really
do.
saying that, but I'm just saying what I'm saying there's I know what I do is conventional, and it's not fun, and there's no flair to it, and it's not as exciting as trying to do something complex, but, like, I think that's probably my personality is I'm trying to do something complex in a very simple way,
I
you
mean, I
know?
think it's pretty complex. It feels pretty complex when we're out there trying to do it every day, that's for sure. I
Well,
mean,
I mean, but there's a point too, like, there's adding more movement to the throw. I mean, there's a whole year which I was doing facing the entire other way of starting and facing to the right side of the sector, and I was going off my different feet, you know what I mean? Like, when I was doing that, it had so much more complexity and there's maybe more potential, but it wasn't able to capitalize off it because I think one of the things is I have these firing patterns now that I've kind of forced to have in traditional technique that when I go to add anything else to it, it takes away some of the great things I did in the boring traditional technique I
like,
have.
the bottom line with it is, like, my point is to it. When I'm talking about durability, reliability, and that's where, like, I don't even know why I use the F-150 thing because I don't even care about Ford F-150 nothing, but at the same time, my point is, we are kind of old school thought about a lot of things we do. A lot of my influences are old school, your influence has been old school, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like, load the bar up, I don't care if it sucks, you have to do it anyways, we have to get the technique right, you have to do the basics. If you can't do the basics, you don't have to do anything cool. Like, their style is a privilege.
No,
I've
I agree with what you're saying. I 100% agree with what you're saying. I'm just saying that's not exciting or marketable to somebody who's young because
I mean,
they want
here's
to take
what's
the easy way
marketable.
out. You
Here's
know what I
what's
mean? Like
marketable.
it's
Ball goes far. That's what's
sure,
marketable. I
sure.
won the meet. Like, no one cares about anything else. Like, no matter it doesn't matter. Everybody's just trying to chase what goes far.
Sure.
Like, so it
That's all that
doesn't
matters.
matter. Like,
I mean, but all me whatever, Mike Young's was it 12 principles? I mean, it all comes down to
seven.
the 7 principles about or rotational, toe-to-toe distance. I mean, you're achieving that in different ways. Whether you start with your foot back, you step into it, you start traditional. Like there's a point when, you know, we call it the signature pose, but it's that South African, that outline position that we have in the THROvacs logo or John Godina's old logo, where it's a thrower coming in the back and, you know, they're toe-to-toe distance. Like everybody's achieving that in some way. Like you might have gotten there different, but like you're essentially almost everybody in that technique. You take me,
Well,
Brian,
the principles don't even
Krauser,
start
Wall.
until that is the first of the
Well, but
7
that's
is the
but
length, toe to
you're
distance on the
establishing your potential energy from that
right.
position. So like there's a bunch of ways to get there. That's the way I view it. But once you're there, there's very little difference going on that has I mean, I think there's differences because it has to do with your body
Well,
size.
you're
And I'm not just talking about that. Like I have short femurs, long torso.
Well,
There's
you're
some vice
trying to
versa.
maximize your X factors, right? And
Yeah.
I think that like that here's the other thing about the durability piece. So for me, like one of the things we've always said about your X factor, obviously it's your strength, but like to me, who cares about your strength? It's actually like your ability to stretch with your strength. Like
Well,
your ability to be like
it,
malleable
it's weird for me
and
when people say it's strength to me because it's just like there was a point. Obviously, we talked about this in the strength podcast when I wasn't strong right in high school. In college, like I saw the ball go over 22 meters when I didn't have any cool number. Now, did I stay in the ring? No. Was it sloppy and kind of blowing it out? Sure. But like I remember I was able to make the ball go, but I couldn't replicate it that often, right? So like I still had strong numbers then, maybe comparatively to most college kids, but I think you definitely have had college kids that had better numbers than me for sure when you were coaching at Ohio State with those boys. Just the numbers that they were putting on. Like I never had a 500-pound bench when I
You
was in
squatted a
college.
lot in
I
college.
squatted 750 for a double my sophomore
I
year.
mean, that's a lot.
That's a lot, but I was able to do that, right? But like, it's not like we did that every single time. I mean,
Sure.
I definitely, what do you call it? Muscle amplitude. I had the capacity to do. I just didn't have the workload capacity to keep replicating, right?
Well, I mean, it's like for me, like again, yeah, what's the X factor? The strength, but the mobility with the strength is the X factor because, like we just said, people can be strong, people can be mobile, but to be as mobile as you are with the strength levels you had, that's your X factor. Okay. So here's my point with that. My point is for durability of your technique, right? You need to have a technique that allows you to use your X factor more consistently, most consistently, right? So when we have like a traditional type technique that you're able to relax into and you know your positions are going to be there most of the time, you're able to kind of relax, let that mobility happen, let the stretches happen so that you can actually use your strength. So it's like the more flares, bells, and whistles we add to that, the less likely that you're going to be, in my opinion, like if you tighten up in a position where you have extra length, it's going to kill it.
Yeah, I think you gotta play the athlete and play your person, right?
Exactly.
And,
Like
like,
it's a
for me, like, you
personality
you
thing
you said
too.
exploiting the strength and mobility. I also think, like, some athletes are really good with some balance and rotational movements and, like, they're like a cat, they always land on their feet. I don't have that, right? So it's like, the more complex is also more me flipping the coin in some movements, where I have to kinda what I'd like to make complex is the movements I know I'm
Well, it's
excited
just
to be
funny to
into.
me because, like, you talk about like, I'm talking about technical durability, and you look at these athletes that will go into a qualifying round and do a
Mhm.
static. Okay, what did we do? If you're going into a qualifying round and you're gonna do a static start for your first round throw, what does that tell me? That tells me that you feel like you're the basic mechanics, you strip your technique down to bare bones, you have enough to throw the qualifying standard.
Yeah.
Okay, so you think that you can pull back enough of your dynamics, start from a dead stop, okay, and still be essentially a number that's gonna be top 20, isn't it like the 17th best mark in the world is a qualifying standard or something like that? Whatever the case is, it's the standard necessarily, like, whatever the world qualifying standard would be, that would be the qualifying mark for the qualifying round, right?
Mhm.
So what are you doing to ensure that you're able to easily hit the qualifying mark? You're simplifying your technique.
Yeah.
I mean, is that not like that is technical durability. So
Sure.
somebody that can do that has a pretty good sensory of where they're at and what they're doing
Sure, and sometimes you need that. Like, I'll tell you the I made my first world championship team in 2015 off of
from
a
a
static
static.
start,
Yes.
because I wasn't able to handle the fresh body and the energy. It was too much for me. So
Yeah.
actually, when I
When you
dumbed it
pulled it
down,
back.
made it boring, I was able to kind of capitalize on my own X
And
factors.
so that's like a
So,
good point for the
but
young throwers that are listening to this.
yeah,
Like you guys are trying to do too much, or you get into like championship season, your body's feeling really good, and you're trying to go like Mac 10 out of the back, and
yeah. I
like you
mean, we
can't
see
handle it.
we
Slow
see
it
that
down.
we see that with like a high school discus kid who like
Chill out.
super fake crazy orbit, and you're just like, dude, just
Chill
throw.
out. Yeah,
Trying to
just
do too
be like,
much.
do less, you know? And I mean, I think that that's a huge point. But like to me, okay, so we talked about physical durability, we've talked about technical durability. Okay, the third layer of this, in my opinion, is emotional durability. Okay, and I think that that is the thing that really wipes people out of this sport. Okay, because you know why? It is a constant grind. No matter how good you did the year before, they call this, okay, Tim Glover? Tim Glover. He trained Grover?
I think it's
Glover.
Glover.
It's probably Grover. Either way,
Probably the
Tim,
opposite
I've
of what
read both of your
I'm
books.
saying.
But either way, okay, so he talks about the bus ride. He calls it the bus ride back to hell. Okay. And I know I've told you this before. He actually references Olympic athletes in his book. Relentless is the book. Okay. So it's basically like this. Yeah, we won the championship. Popping bottles. Let's go. The bus ride back to hell is the bus ride on the way home after you win the championship, knowing the next time you put your shoes on, it is gonna suck because you have to go back to the basement level of training and get your butt kicked. Okay. So that is the thing about our sport that everybody has to understand. Nothing carries over, right? Like there's no like, oh, I did good last year, so this year is gonna be better. No. You could have the best season of your life followed by the absolute worst season of your life. You could have the absolute worst season of your life followed by the absolute best season of your life. Like the year before owes you nothing. No one cares. right? And so it's like this. You have to kind of be resilient. You have to be very resilient to be able to handle that you are starting from ground zero every single year, right? And so, like, how do you think you've been able to handle the emotional volatility and become emotionally durable to handle this sport?
I think I'm still getting better at it.
Yeah, me too. I maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because when you say you too, because I think about you because when we started dating, and of course you had no real desire to be my coach or anything like that, but like you kind of got thrown in.
Let me just say this. Why would I have wanted to be your coach after you'd already
No,
been
I
world
mean it
champion?
didn't obviously like
I'm not
that
saying that to
wasn't
be
even.
mean.
I, well,
I'm
I
not
think
saying that to be mean
some
to you, but,
people
like,
don't know, but like
but think about
when I
it,
moved
like
to Ashley, it was a girlfriend thing, and she was just happy. She was coaching at Ohio State, and it had nothing to do with that. And like how it became about where you were able to start helping me and like stepping in that place, like that was that just kind of happened situationally,
it was
organically, and
situational,
it
but
was super
I'm saying
helpful.
I'm not
Like
saying this to be mean, but, like, if you think about it, it's like we've talked about this. Like, okay, like a post collegiate that's like a world champion and they wanna train with us, and it's like you can't really make that better,
yeah,
right? Like, you already have this standard of you've climbed the mountain. So, basically, like, it's the same thing. Everybody says this. It's like, "Oh, it's so much easier to climb the mountain than it is to stay on top of it." And I said that John Godina quote of, like, "The hardest thing I've ever done is stay on top," right?
mm,
And I think that's a great quote. Like, getting to the top of the mountain was easy. Staying on top of the mountain for 10 years was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, and it sucks, by the way, right? It sucks to it's fun to chase, it's hard to try to stay on top and kick everybody down, just like, "Let me be on this mountain." Okay, so you've already gotten to the top, okay? So, like, I'm just telling you, like, you'd already been to the pinnacle, right? And so
well,
it wasn't like
that's
a
why I'm
chase,
well,
it
that's
was a
why I'm
completely
saying to you.
different.
Oh, that's what I'm saying to you is like I got to experience your emotions watching of like the excitement of a world championship to another world championship. Obviously, Doha
Well,
was
I was
exciting
still,
to the
like,
Olympics.
naive though,
Well,
like
I think now it's just that when I think like you've been to the Olympics, you're like you stayed in the Olympic Village, you've been Olympic team coach. Like there is a point of like I don't want to call it reality, but it's like a little bit of a letdown. Like oh, this is it, right? And I don't want to say that in a negative way, but I think that every sport has that. I'm sure even in the top sports of football, basketball, probably there's a lot more excitement to go along with that, and definitely a bigger paycheck. But there definitely has to be of even for the golfers, like Rory finally hit his grand slam. Like there's going to be like, well, the next time he gets in a plane, he's going to another golf match, and he's going to be on the driving range doing it all over again. And people are the next thing they're going to ask him is when's his next major,
exactly. I
right? They're
mean,
not
that's the
they're
first thing they ask you guys at the
they're
Olympics.
yeah, they're gonna
Are you
say,
going to the next
When's
one?"
your next one? When you go to the
Right.
next Olympic?" And it's just you don't even have time to process what you did in the moment, and I think that's one of one of the toughest things about track is just how our season is, how it comes down to really one day, one meet. There's no like, at least in golf, there's 4 majors a year. I know if Grand Slam track is trying to do a thing, it's never gonna be the same like that, but like it is this pinnacle where you can't really have multiple moments of excitement in a year. It's just one time and then it's over.
Well, I mean, like, to go off that too, like, the Tim Grover thing in his book, he talked about Kobe, and he trained he was Michael Jordan's personal trainer and Kobe's personal trainer. And he said Kobe was happy for, like, 24 minutes of his entire career. Like, you're happy for, like, the 10 minutes after you did the thing. And then the second the thing is over, you're thinking about, "How am I gonna back this up?"
Yeah.
Right? And I think that, like, the emotional durability of the whole thing is just, like, understanding that. Like, understanding you are gonna feel like you're climbing more than you're gonna feel like you're standing on top of the mountain with your arms up like Rocky. Like, those moments, that it's not that most of the time. Like, it's the journey of the whole thing, and, like, if you can't learn to, like, enjoy that or at least accept that, then you're not gonna make it. Like, I think that the emotional people are not emotionally durable, okay? We talk about, like, emotional flexibility, mental fitness, those types of things. Even, like, there's a term, it's called emotional agility. And, like, a good way to explain emotional agility is, like, a way that I've heard it that I liked was, like, okay, the memory of, like, a person that's passed away.
Mm.
Being able to say, like, have those moments of, like, thinking about them fondly of, like, "Oh my gosh, like, that relationship was so impactful, so meaningful, like, I learned so much from them. It was such an amazing relationship I'm so blessed to have had." And then being so happy and, like, thankful that that happened, but then also being, like, completely gutted and angry and, like, just distraught and grieving that they're not here anymore. Like those two things can be happening simultaneously, right? Like you can miss somebody, but also like be thankful for them. And it's like the same thing with like this sport. Like you have to understand that like it's gonna suck, but then also understand that like the thing that sucks is actually the thing that's gonna make you better at doing it. And you have to learn how to live in that world where both things are happening at the same time.
No, I think that's good to say. I mean, there's definitely, I mean, there's more downs and ups, and the ups aren't really that high, right? Compared to the downs, right? So, I mean, I think it's one thing I think that has helped me is like, I always tell you this every single year. It's like, you can never do it the same.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things that why I've had success for doing it this long is like, I never go into a season thinking I can copy and paste the last year, right? Because you're not the same person last year. Hopefully you're physically better, you're mentally better. But like, even if you had the best season in your career, like, maybe you won a championship for the first time in NCAA. Maybe you won a world champion for first time. Like for the rest of your career, they're going to announce that in front of every meet. And then you're going to have to kind of feel that expectation with the weight on the shoulder, positive and negative. It might remind you of a good thing or a bad thing every single time.
Well,
So
it's
like,
like that's the thing. Like I think we've even said that on this podcast before. It's like you will never go back to the way you were before you were champion. Right?
yeah,
You will never go back to the way you were before you had a medal, right?
yeah,
Like once you put that medal around your neck in a major, you are a global medalist. And there's a weight that comes along with that. Like there is a heavy weight that comes along with that. And I've said this before, it's like the weight doesn't necessarily get any lighter. You just get better at carrying it. And I think that that's something that you've continued to do. Like it's no less stressful at world championships or even Olympic trials now than it was back in 2015.
sure.
You've just done it enough times where you can understand how to handle that pressure and carry the load a little bit more efficiently.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're spot on by saying that. It's, you learn how to carry the weight of it. I think my entire career, I've always felt this huge weight and responsibility of like, when I started to get good, that like, I told myself, if I ever make a team, like, and if you make a team for the US and you don't get a medal, you messed up. Like you did a huge disservice because the guy who got fourth, fifth, or sixth who went at home, they were good enough to get a medal. So you stopped somebody else who had the ability to. And because I had that mentality from, I looked up to Reese, Adam, Christian, you know, the guys before Gadina, the guys before who like continuously were in the medals. And like, if you can't be top 3 in the US and come home empty handed, like if we don't sweep every time, and unfortunately we've only swept one time in my career where that's happened. Most of the time in my career, there's been at least top 2 in the
Well, I
podium.
mean, a lot of the time in your career, it's been 1, 2, and then someone in the top 5. I mean, that's happened
And
a
no,
lot.
it normally is, right? But I'm saying like the weight of the shoulder for an American shot putter is like, you know, the USATF loves to say like we're the hardest team to make. And it is, but like technically the shot put almost every year is statistically the hardest event
Right.
because we have the most standards, because we have the most highest rank. So my whole point with that is
Well, is there
if
any
you
other event right now where the number 1 and 2 of all time in world history are active?
pro
Well, how here, look, isn't it like 1, 2, and 4? Isn't Fabry like 4th of all time?
he's probably
And
5th of all
Tom?
he's
I
5th of
mean,
all
like,
time.
but
Tom's probably
I mean, like,
se
of the top 10 in world history,
yeah,
how many are active?
I mean, like the men's pole vault, we have Mondo, and then what's his name from France, who had he's number 1 and used to be the number 1 and 2. Obviously, different countries, and then there's definitely a huge drop off after that. And he's not as competitive as he used to, or not. So maybe not the perfect comparison, but like that's another event that has had high caliber events. But like, yeah, never I would say as many that are like kind of fully active
Yeah.
and able. And that's an exciting thing to look back at,
It's
but
also
when you're in it,
yeah, it's
it's a
hard. I
daunting
mean,
thing because it's like, you know, what it took to win my first gold medal in the world championship is like, I mean, I get with the exception of this in the indoor that just happened, like it's not a competitive mark. You know what I
right.
mean? So like, it's interesting to look back at what was and what is.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like clearly we all know it's elevated and elevating, and it's like keep up, and that's the thing. Like I think that's the thing that makes it harder. It's like you feel like like no matter what you just did do, you got to come
Well,
on.
and you got to think
Like
too, like if you don't think that's the tip of the wave, you're naive because the next wave's coming. Like by 2020 or 28, the next Olympics, like there's probably will be 4 to 5 guys over 23 meters.
Exactly.
So like if you don't think
There's
that's
no
gonna
doubt.
happen, you're just gonna get washed up in the
Well,
water.
it's just like, and that's the thing. I think people are so hard trying to protect their level instead of pushing for the next level. And that's my whole point with this durability piece. It's like, if you're just trying to run the tip of the iceberg all the time, you don't have enough base to continue to keep evolving. And I think that because you've been so durable over the years, you've been able to continually like evolve what you're doing. I mean, even John Godina said when he did like an interview with Darrell, and he was talking about, like, I've never seen anybody that's, like, gotten older and literally gotten better like Joe has. I mean, it's the truth. Like, if you statistically look at the top 10 farthest throws of your career, you look at the best seasons you've ever had, they're the last few seasons you've had. And I mean, I think that that is a testament to all the literal grunt work you've done, all the ugly, boring, like just completely like head down, keep grinding that you've done over all these years that have allowed you to stay at the top of your game and also keep your body intact. So, like we're big on the durability piece. I think that we look at people and we're like, dude, that guy's not going to make it. Like he's hurt all the time. He's always got a tweak. He's always got this and that. And you see those people fizzle out. So it's like people ask, how do you get to the point that Joe's at? How do you become great and stay great for all these years? Like durability might be the top of my list.
Well, I think that's a good way to wrap it up because durability to me is like it's not just like, oh, I don't try not to have injuries. Oh, you're tried and true. It to me, it's like you're already thinking about the future, right? It's a progress. You're durable not just for getting through a season, but you're durable for getting through a quad, 2 quads, 3 quads, 4 quads, and you're going on to the next Olympics. You can think about the future when you're ending a season in a better place than you did the year before.
Exactly. Well, I think that I hope this was informative from people. I think that we talked about some things that I think are super important, and I think that people can kind of take some stuff, especially the young throwers that are watching and listening to this. I hope you guys continue to follow us. Thanks for all the comments, likes, engagement you guys have been giving us on THROvacs on Instagram. I hope you guys are enjoying the wrist wraps. It seems like a lot of you are. We've sold a ton of those. We're going to have to re-up our stash because we're about to sell out of them. So if you guys want those, you got to go over to THROvacs.com and pick them up. I've been enjoying the online stuff I've been doing. If you guys are interested in a consultation, a Zoom, some one-on-one virtual coaching, check us out. We're also going to drop our camps for next year soon and tell you the locations we're going to be at. Those have been pretty awesome. And we had some camps and clinics out here in Hawaii that have just been super awesome for us. We've enjoyed every minute of it. And, we're just really appreciative to all you guys. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this one. And please subscribe and follow, and we will talk to you guys soon. Aloha.
Aloha. See you guys.